What's going on?
What up? What up?
What's going on?
Hello.
Good.
Hello.
Maddie,
Hey, Maddie's back. What's up, Maddie?
Gabby,
Hey.
How are you?
how is everyone doing? Welcome back to CKQ Podcast. I am your host, Clement. And before we get onto the panel, I want to do a little. All right, let's shut that off. I want to do a little housekeeping. If you're first time here watching, please hit the like button. And if you really enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel because I put a live video out every Wednesday. And we might actually start adding some more days. But as for right now, let's get introduced to the panel. We have Xavier. All
What's
right.
up?
We got Elmer.
Hello.
Got Gabby. How you doing?
Hi.
Maddie.
Hey.
And we got a nanny named Fran.
Hey.
Awesome. Really glad to have all of you guys here. Let's do a little switcheroo. All right. Let's start throwing people around. Yeah. Why not?
Just a bit.
This works. How you guys doing?
Lovely.
Doing good. How you been, Clem?
Pretty good. I'm hoping you guys had a good hump day.
That's right.
So you guys saw the questions.
Yeah.
How do you feel about them? Okay, that's telling.
The controversial part.
I want a lady to answer it first.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to start with that. I did want to start with that. So let's start out. First topic of the night. Is toxic masculinity real? Fran, we'll come to you.
No, I don't think so.
No?
I don't think it could get to a point that maybe it could be to like when a guy is very I would say they repress their emotions and they feel like they can't like show that sensitive side of them. That could be like a buildup and that could be like a toxic thing. But I don't think if a man is a man's man, if he's masculine, I don't think it's a bad thing. Personally, I don't. I don't think it could ever get to a toxic thing.
You're not staying on the side of the ladies, but hey, listen, shout out to you for that, all right? Elmer, we'll go to you.
I think that toxic masculinity is real. I think that I'm a history buff, Clem, and I think that if anything has taught us about history, it's that if you put too many guys together and you leave them alone, bad things happen.
Great things happen. Society happens. That's what happens. All right.
Great things, sometimes great, sometimes not so great.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we're just gonna do everyone's quick answers, and then we're gonna lap back around. Gabby, what do you think?
I think it's real.
You think it's real?
Yeah.
Okay. Little deep dive in there.
I haven't really gotten that deep into thought about it.
But
I just got home a few minutes ago, but yeah.
Okay.
I believe it does exist.
Okay. What kind of example would you say?
Toxic. I guess like trying to impress your friends or people you're out with by being a certain way. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
That's what it would be to me. Not necessarily being in touch with your masculinity, but like going overboard with it.
Okay.
To show up or show yourself as a certain person in front of other people.
Just kind of being not stepping out of your usual character then.
Yeah.
Okay. Xavier? What did Webster's dictionary say?
I didn't look at Webster's. It was Wikipedia. I just wanted to get a broader, like general kind of definition. But like I despise the words toxic masculinity because I think the problem with it is that it makes it makes masculinity seem toxic in general when you use it in those terms. So I think that there's masculine traits that can be toxic, just as they're like aggressive, like overly aggressive or overly assertive, like those kind of specific traits can be toxic. But I don't think masculinity itself can be toxic.
Okay.
Just to give
Maddie?
you a short answer.
Yeah, no, we're gonna go back. We're definitely gonna circle back to everyone because I saw some faces already cringe right away, so I'm liking it. Maddie.
Well, I agree with X the Profess because I think that too much of anything can be bad. So it just kind of depends on how you define it. I looked at toxic masculinity and it was just kind of like a lot was in there, but that's my answer. Yes, I do think it's real because too much of anything can be toxic.
Okay. Fran, you definitely cringed up right away.
No, I just feel like what anyone has, like everyone always would have a different opinion, right? And if they're going to feel some type of way, if they feel like it's masculinity to be toxic in a certain like scenario, if a guy is being like too butch or if he's being too aggressive, and it's like, wow, that could be very toxic for a relationship for himself. Anyone could view that at that way. Personally, with me, if you're going to think of anything to be toxic, it's going to be toxic. So I don't think masculine, like being masculine, I don't. It could achieve to that, but I personally don't think it's a thing. I just
It's
think it's
toxic
just
because of just masculinity. Yeah,
well,
I
I just
honestly feel the same
yeah
exact way, which is um, toxic masculinity. There's toxic behavior, but
yes
masculinity in itself is not. To label it as toxic masculinity inherently means that anything masculine will now just have a negative connotation towards it. At least that's just how I'm seeing it.
Because yeah, what if we were
that's
to
how I
use
see it.
what if we use the word toxic femininity? Like what would that even be? You know what I mean? Then we have to start defining and try to find out why femininity could be toxic. And I'm sure that we can find feminine traits that if they're, like you said, in excess, they could be toxic. But I don't think that just as we just the same way we don't use that term, we don't use the term toxic femininity. I
Yeah.
don't think we should use the term toxic masculinity. We
I,
should.
I look at it.
True.
I look at it as a broader view. When Clem, when you asked for an example, I immediately thought about sororities and fraternities in America. And you go to a fraternity, or you hear about a fraternity on the news. It's never that it's the best, safest fraternity that you've ever been to.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
always that. It's always been that there's a allegation of rape, sometimes murder, sometimes violence. Most of the time, it's always the fraternities getting in trouble. Almost never do you hear about sororities. And if there isn't a more definitive view of example of toxic masculinity, it's that toxic masculinity. Sorry, it's hard to say it. But I think that the traits that are perceived as masculine are far more dangerous used in excess than the traits that are perceived as feminine. And that has been a culture supported for the last 50 years. And there's nothing more that I hate than the frat culture, because that is the toxic masculinity culture. They go by themselves. They consider themselves a brotherhood. They consider themselves a gang. And then you leave them alone, and all they want to do is get drunk and have sex with women, sometimes against their will, by drugging them.
How dare those guys try to have sex with women? How dare them?
I can't
How
hear
dare them? How dare those guys try to have sex?
you. Sorry, Tom, I can't hear you.
I can't repeat it again. I can't go for a third time.
You said it like
That's
5
too much. You missed the joke. I'm sorry, man.
Okay, I got
Can
it.
you hear now?
I can hear you now.
I definitely see what you're saying. Yeah, for sure. If realistically, as guys, anything done in excess coming from a male point of view can be very dangerous. But anything really done from a female's point of view can be extremely dangerous as well. It's just not as outwardly exposed as it would a man's, I would say.
Well, they don't do it as much.
No, it's just not. Again, that's why I say it's just not as outwardly exposed. Like,
Mm.
if you're talking damaging a man's career, a woman could damage a man's career just by a false allegation. his whole name is tarnished by that.
Yeah.
Just the,
Is that is lying a female trait only though?
it's not. But the guys, again,
Well,
a toxic trait.
just the same as aggressiveness is not only just a masculine trait. It can be found in women too, but
Right, but men are generally more aggressive.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Are women
I mean,
generally more lying?
I would say that I'm going to go on a limb here and say women lie more than men. Yes.
Oh Jesus!
I would say women use
Yeah.
words far better than men at crafting what they want.
Yeah, I wouldn't say women are better at lying, but I would say people, if a woman makes an allegation, people are probably more likely to believe her based off of her composure and softness and things that she presents versus a man. I mean, especially women being deemed as more fragile, it's probably more likely to believe a woman in an allegation than a man.
It's strong. I mean, I think is a form of for men, self-defense is violence, right? Like our first, I think our innate kind of reaction to a threat is like reacting aggressively or violently, and I think women don't have. I can't speak for women in the sense. I haven't studied. I'm not like a master of women to know what's a woman's way towards reacting towards things, but like I do think that lying is a form of self-defense to a certain extent for women. So I think that's women kind of have to lie. In a sense, women kind of have to lie more than men do.
Yeah,
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
that makes sense. I mean, just because guys, we obviously know there's essentially a low level threat of violence when guys are talking to each other. Like if it ever escalates past a certain point, there's gonna be hands flying.
Yeah.
But with a woman, it can never be that way. So it's a lot more like underlying tones, I would say.
Right.
That makes sense.
I mean, I never seen a girl go to jail for underlying tones. You know what I mean, Clem?
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I said.
I've seen a lot of guys go to jail because they got
But
drunk
again,
at a bar and they start throwing hands.
and I've seen some guys go to jail for a woman's false allegation.
How much is that occurring more than the actual crime though?
What do you mean?
Out of all rapes, we'll say,
Okay.
how many of that is a false allegation?
I'm not too sure, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't have an exact number, but I wouldn't think that there are more false allegations of rape committed than there are actual rapes.
Okay.
And that's what this whole thing has been about. Just be like, this thing has been going on for a long time, and not just going down to the most extreme like rape or murder, but like just this whole, like we've been around our friends when we were young, and we've been around our parents and our dads and our dad's uncles and stuff like that, and they told us some dumb shit all the fucking time, and at some point you just grow up, and I think part of growing up is like taming your masculinity, so it's not becoming toxic. But just like women have to tame their femininity, I guess.
Well, I don't think
whatever.
I don't. That's the problem. I don't think that you have to tame your masculinity.
Exactly.
I think you have to tame toxic traits.
Yes.
If you're an overly aggressive person, or you're an overly sexual man to the point where you're raping women, you definitely need to keep that in check. But as far as being masculine, I think that you need to step into that and be learn how to be masculine and learn how to be masculine in a positive way.
I agree with that. I don't think no one's ever. You're not born masculine. That's something you have to gain. Your masculinity is not something that just happens one day. That is something you have to grow over time and build in yourself. It's character essentially for guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess again, it all depends on the definition of masculinity.
All right, we got Webster's, right? All right, we're gonna pull up Webster's.
Yeah.
The quality or nature of the male sex.
Yeah. So what's that?
The
Traits?
quality, state, or degree of being masculine or manly, essentially. So that's why I said I don't know. It's that word thrown around too much can really demonize masculinity, and masculinity is an important factor of how a boy can move around the world and who he can become. A boy wants to become the most masculine version of himself because that's what's going to help him move through life in the best possible way. He's going to be a lot more guided, a lot more focused, and he's going to be doing a lot better things to move himself up in life.
Yeah.
So when phrases like toxic masculinity is thrown around too much, it makes guys question stepping into their masculinity. Wow, that is a little tongue twister to say, actually.
not for too much. Let's say MA.
MA.
Yeah, let's say MA. Shouldn't we question it though? Like, shouldn't we like when we think of something or like when we talk to someone, especially women, like shouldn't we just like take a step back and be like, hey, listen, am I being too much? Like, because no one likes an overly manly guy. Like, it's funny. It's like you see a guy like that and it's kind of whack. You know what I'm saying? Like you always want to like make sure that there's a balance to you. Okay. And being masculine, like you can be masculine, but like again, toxic masculinity is like when you're over all those traits. Masculine is just like a set of traits.
You kind of see
whatever
like arrogance over confidence in a certain
yeah, exactly. Whatever your traits, whatever you associate your traits to masculinity and femininity, those are it. And you never want to be over those. What I'm saying is if women are over theirs, or if femininity is, if you have too much over femininity, it doesn't hurt as much to society as being overly masculine.
Ladies, what do you think? You've been pretty quiet this whole time. You guys just soaking in knowledge?
Crickets. Not happy. I saw you shake your head, girl.
Damn. The ladies just don't want to talk tonight.
I just feel like at the end of the day, the whole thing with toxic masculine, with feminism, like sometimes people could just be a jerk off. They could just be a rotten
basically person. Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with, is he more manly or is she more feminine? At the end of the day, people are just stereotyping that. Maybe people could be just shitty. I don't care if you're a guy, girl, non-binary. Sometimes you're just a shitty person. That should not distinguish you have to be categorized as, that's just so toxic. He's just too manly or she's too feminine. They could just be assholes, right? Now, I've seen it.
It's toxic in general.
Why are they assholes?
As a bartender, I get it all. I get guys catcalling, they're nasty, they're bombed. So I'm dealing with people who are under the influence, they're nasty. But is it because, it's their masculinity? No, they're just jerk-offs. It has nothing to do with putting people in categories like, I feel offended, that's toxic, for whatever any gender you specify as. That's how I see it. So when the media or people categorize as this is toxic. No, it's not. They're just being shitty people. That's how I think of it.
But what makes them assholes though? Like let's say a guy's too arrogant. And what's arrogance? Arrogance is a toxic male trait. And it might be to you and it might not be to me,
Hold on, Elmer. Let her answer.
No, the thing is if someone's not humane, if they don't have that that character, that respect, then they're just an asshole. So if it's someone to go to the fact that, God forbid, they would hurt a woman or a woman would hurt a man, women rape men, is that toxic? Maybe it's not as common, if you would say to the media, but that could be considered toxic. But no, they don't say that. They're just being shitty people. So when someone's a shitty person, how I feel, if you don't respect me, you don't have that that genuine humane attitude, and you're just a rotten person, very negative, you just hate everybody, you're racist, you're just don't like anything about the world, and you're a shitty person. Because if you don't respect me, how do you respect yourself? But that has nothing to do with being toxic or not.
You're just categorizing that. It's another thing. It's another rumble. It's just like, you know, when someone's like utterly feminine, like how is toxic feminine? Like, let's think about it. Like, if I'm like overly feminine, what am I just like be? I don't know. What would we consider as being a toxic feminine woman? I can't really think of one other head.
I can think of an example, and I think that I agree with what you're saying, but I think in media in general, they try to paint gender norms as such a bad thing. So they try to create this thing of toxic masculinity and toxic femininity and all of this stuff. And I feel like an example of femininity being painted as bad would be, and this is the only example I can think of off the top of my head, but in High School Musical, when they had Sharpay and she was super girly girl, and everyone was like, "Oh, she's a B word." I'm sorry, I don't really cuss that much, but they're like, "Oh, she's a B word," and I'm like, "No, I kind of like her. Like, I like the super girly girl and feminine stuff." But in media, I feel like a lot of the times gender norms tries to be painted as a bad thing when it's okay to be different. It's okay to be masculine. It's okay to be feminine. And all of this toxic stuff is kind of just an allusion to you shouldn't be different. So that's kind of what I think.
No, because like, you know, the whole thing is, it's like we have to worry about, you know, the younger generation coming in. So if they're coming in and thinking like, oh, if you're overly this, you're not like really putting in society's standards. If you're like this is not really good. That's a bad thing. But when is there the fine line? You know, so it's a very like sensitive subject at the end of the day because everyone's gonna have a different opinion on it. But it's always gonna stem from the media. That's it.
I mean, I personally think like I get why like the concept of toxic masculinity was kind of brought upon in the media and society in general, and I think it goes to like Elmer's point, like, you know, with fraternities and how people end up in jail. And if you look at it on a more macro level, like throughout history, men have definitely committed a lot more violence on the world than women have. But I mean, I think that, yeah, like violence and aggressiveness is more of a masculine trait, and I think that we're like humanity is becoming less violent. So I think what happens is like we're looking at people are the greater minds are kind of reflecting on humanity and saying, well, you know, these traits are what cause a lot of violence amongst humanity, and they typically do belong to men. So I do understand where it's born from, and I do understand the necessity to try to figure out how to be less violent, how to be less aggressive, and how to lower rape, eliminate rape and all that kind of stuff.
But not to cut you up, but would you like put that in the category of being masculine? Because women could be like that too, violent and aggressive. So is that just like a, do you know what I'm saying?
How many wars have women started? Well, you know what?
How many men are in jail?
Men are disproportionately in jail compared to women. I mean, no, I mean, I definitely agree that men are more violent than women. I mean,
we're naturally the stronger, more aggressive.
Yeah,
I think it's in our nature to be. Yeah, I think it's in our nature to be. Just like in a lot of animal species, the male tends to be
the more aggressive, more dominant.
Stronger, dominant.
Well, let me ask you something, X. Like if and Clem and everybody, if a group of cavemen just came, and it's all cavemen, if they all just came and they just started hanging out with us, like, and they started acting how they were acting, you wouldn't be like, damn, that's kind of fucked up. That's kind of toxic. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm really confused. To be honest with you, that threw me off.
Chilling with cavemen, and they first of
all,
I saw cavemen.
Like if it's like we're all chilling with cavemen at a bar, and they don't got shirts on, and the
so three cavemen walk into a bar.
Yeah, they walk into a bar.
That sounds like a good joke.
They come in. And like they act the way that they act, like how.
Well, what's that? What is it like? How would they act? Like
aggressive, drunk, or especially if they start drinking, like aggressive, like violent, like where I think toxic masculinity is a visceral response of our ancestors, of our animalistic nature. You know what I'm saying? That comes. Toxic masculinity comes out of us, like it spurts out of us, like when we're not too careful, when we're not too conscious of it. And the problem is a lot of guys have a lot of things that they do that they don't know is actually fucked up. And that's because the culture teaches us that, like, oh,
But
you can do
do you,
this.
okay,
You can do
so
that.
now, all right. So how is it realistic? Let's be. So you were saying back on like guys going after girls, guys hitting on girls, you know, and like sometimes you're being a little too forward. How is a guy supposed to know when he's being too forward
It, al-
or not being too forward enough?
uh,
Like at what point in time is like what at some point a guy can just be himself and then it could just be labeled as toxic. There is no guidelines for a man to be masculine.
right.
You don't get a guideline, and you don't really have help in society at all on how
Right.
to be masculine. Hell, the Gillette commercial, the razor blades for men is literally telling men are bad. So at what point in time are we going to say like, all right, you know what, we should probably start helping guys and saying like, all right, this is probably a better look and this is not,
Right.
versus
Yeah.
just say like the second one bad thing is done, it's like, oh, you're a bad person, toxic masculinity.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I disagree. I think we do have a guideline, but it's scary. I think the
Explain.
guideline is to just tell the truth. Like, I think the guideline is to just be honest, and then that will come out. And then if she's still like, listen, you did your best, all you were as complete. And the problem with the dating right now is that dudes lie. You know what I'm saying? And girls lie.
Women lie.
Everybody's
I was gonna
lying.
say everyone lies.
Everybody's lying to each other. That's
Yeah.
that's the culture. Like,
Hold on, real quick.
look at me. I'm a
Hold on, Elmer. Hold on.
Go ahead.
So for anyone joining in right now, welcome to CKQ Podcast. Question of the moment so far is toxic masculinity real? If you have any kind of disagreements, the link is in the chat, but you only get one disagreement per show. So pick your disagreement wisely. The link is in the chat. Go, Elmer, back to you.
Yeah. So like, I don't think the problem with the dating scene now is that men don't know what to do. I think the problem is that men have been told to lie, and women. Everyone's been told to lie to each other. Everyone's been told to be fake with each other. Everyone's been told that this whole thing is a game. And to me, it's not a game. You know, it's I don't know. It's like a quest. You know what I'm saying? Like you're trying to do something. Like you're trying to go for something. And if you don't let that be known, then people are going to see you as sus. They're going to see you as a snake, and they're going to see you as stuff like that. That's why if you want to go out there and you want to go dating, though, probably like the best thing you could do is just talk to her. Hey, listen, yada, yada, yada. None of that other fluff and shit like that. And then if she still finds you toxic, that you did the best that you could do.
All right.
I feel like, let me speak for some women, being that I am a woman, and from my viewpoint,
What?
I've never felt, I feel like it's how you use your masculinity. When I'm with a strong man, I feel safe, I feel secure. It's all in how it's being used. Like Francesca said earlier, and Professor X, how they were talking about if someone's going to be raping people and doing all this, then maybe they're just a bad person. But masculinity, I feel like as a woman, I like it. And I know we're going to get to this later, but I feel like I feel safe when a man is masculine and I'm around them. I don't feel like it's toxic, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I would say those are the masculinity. That I guess I would say that's what is masculine. That's what being masculine is, or embracing your masculinity. What you were saying, back to what you were saying, Elmer. I guess we'll make one last lap around points, and then we're gonna move on to the next topic. You got a fan, Maddie?
E Black, what's up, E Black?
Yeah. Going back to your point, Elmer. So, damn, did I lose it? Did I really just lose it?
Yeah.
I lost the point. All right, yeah, I did. On to the next topic. Next topics, people. All right, masculinity in boys has been made bad in society. Elmer, I'm really curious.
Listen, like I'm being because of what I'm saying, you might be thinking that I think some type of way, but I agree with that.
I'm curious. I'm curious.
I think that and what I don't like about the Gillette commercial is that they put rapists and just like ignorant guys in the same boat.
Yeah.
And I did not like that because it grouped us all together. And there are a distinction between rapists and then the rest of society. You know what I'm saying? Like there are guys out there that are just pure fucking evil. All right. At the same time, there are guys out there that are dumb, ignorant. They don't know like some of these things that they do are actually hurting women, and they're actually causing like a lot of damage for a very long time. Me included, probably X included. Like we all had that like little stint in our lives where we were just like, let me just do whatever. It's like the wild, wild west. Let me grab a girl's ass. Let me grab a girl's titties. You know, like we were all like that. And to me, that's what that's what toxic masculinity is. And then we've all gone through it. We've all like come through that and then evolved from that. But I agree. Like society is kind of and like you go and you try your best, but like everything else, the pendulum swings. You know, like at some point it's gonna come back to the middle where like you're gonna come back and people are gonna not mind you. You know what I'm saying?
Maddie, what do you think? Masculinity in boys has been made bad in society.
I definitely think so. I think that in society, people, like just reiterating from earlier, people want to change the gender norms. You see people trying to force men, or not force, but try to push the picture of men in dresses and men wearing women's clothes and try to just, push the thing where it's like you need to be more in touch with your feminine side because masculinity is too much. And so I feel like in society, definitely masculinity in boys has been made bad. We're trying to suppress natural innate tendencies of boys and make them feel like it's toxic, like what we're talking about.
X?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I mean I think it's been happening for decades through like, Disney movies. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like through Disney movies and just movies in general, like all of these like teen dating movies. Like I feel like a lot of the stuff that we learn from these movies kind of try to teach us that being overly masculine is toxic or is an unattractive trait. But then as you get older and as you like you navigate the dating pool, you notice that like alpha men and very masculine men are still the the archetype for what women like. um so I do think that especially in today's society, like I don't know, you know I don't know a ton of young boys. I mean, I guess some of the young boys I do know are like in sports and stuff like that. And sports is something that definitely I think keeps masculinity alive in a certain way because it keeps competitiveness and that kind of stuff alive. Um but you can see it in all, I mean, even in schools now. I mean, they're teaching all different kinds of, they're trying to blur the gender norms and blur, like, like for instance, when, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, I remember gender and sex being the same thing. And then there was a
I actually
point
do remember that. Yeah.
that
And they split them up.
and then they were split up at some point. So now it's like, oh no, like if you talk, like if I talk to someone who's 10, 15, 20 years younger than me, they might like see that as like, yeah, no, of course, like gender is what you identify with and sex is what you're born with. But I think that even that's starting to um be blurred a little bit. And
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know what the overall goal for that is, but I definitely do think that gender norms and gender roles are being blurred.
Can I
Fran?
say can I
Hold
say
on,
something,
wait, hold
Clem,
on.
though?
Let's get to Fran's point.
All right, go
Keep
ahead.
that point in mind, but let's get to Fran real quick. Fran, what's going on?
All right. Well, the whole thing with boys, we also have to consider boys going through puberty, right? So and also another thing too, I want to pinpoint, boys and men are going to be better than women in things, and women are going to be better than men in other things. So it comes to sports, there's certain like football, like certain things like that. So if a boy is like growing up and he's going through puberty, and he's going to have like hormones and outbursts and stuff, again, that's just him. It's nature, right? Am I wrong? Like I don't know. I don't have any siblings. I never grew up with like boys around me, but student in high school, middle school, grammar school, I went through my hormones. Boys did too. So when it comes to like knowing your body, getting to know how you like view the world, your emotions, just because you're a boy doesn't mean it's like, oh, well, tone it down a bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just think that, like, I'm a 90s baby, and growing up in, like, during 2001, 2002, as we're, like, getting, like, our puberty, like, starting to grow up and develop, it was just, like, normal. It's like now they're trying to make it not normal. And I just can't view it as be for a little boy or a young girl going through those hormones and stuff, feminine or masculine. I just think it's just normal. And I think they're trying to make it, the media and like a lot of these like woke people are trying to say, well, that don't be too excessive. You know what I'm saying? And like,
That
how
makes
can you
sense.
tell a boy or a young girl that? Don't be excessive. Like, but you're going through changes. You're going through puberty.
Yeah, your body's changing. One day you wake up and there's a boner just kind of out of your pants, and you have no idea
Yeah,
how it got there. As guys,
yeah,
I'm telling you, that's what happens. It's you're normal one night, and then the next night you wake up, it's like, what the hell is this thing? And it
Your
makes no
voice gets
sense.
deeper. Yeah, you start
Yeah,
looking at
yeah,
girls. If you're like whatever you're into, you start looking at girls, or if you're
yeah.
like in boy, like I don't know, but it's just so how could it's just science. It's
yeah,
life.
Elmer, you gotta
yeah.
your boy's in the building. All
Uh,
right.
Anton, my guy. I love Anton Daniels. Here's what I think happened, Clem. I think what happened was like everything in the world, uh, it evolves, it changes, for better or worse, including masculinity. Back in the 50s, what it meant to be a masculine man is different from what it means to be a masculine man right now, as it was in the 20s. All right. So that goes on, and what happens is old, stupid, fucking, and I'm not like old, uh, I don't know, old, ignorant people come in and they go, "Oh my God, the boys are changing. The boys are all different. Look at them. Oh, this guy's doing this. This guy's doing that. There's a war going on against men." And like what we did as little kids, and we're all. I'll say this about me, X, and Clem. We're all straight, very masculine guys. We box, and yet, if someone saw us doing what we did when we were kids, because it is different from what the kids were doing in the 1950s, they'd be saying that we were being feminized, and the fact is that's not true. The fact is you're going to be naturally feminine or naturally Mexican in certain traits because that's how you were born. That's your personality trait. All right. It's like saying that the GTA is causing people to kill. It's the same fucking argument, except now we're saying like, oh, the TV is making my son gay. Not that he's been gay. You know what I'm saying? It's making my son more feminine, not that he's always been feminine.
I'm not. I'm not. I really was trying to keep up, but I fell off the train, bro. I
What?
really.
What?
You lost me. Cause
Well,
one, I had a
yeah.
beard at like 5, bro. Like I was a man. All right?
I saw you, Clem. You were as skinny as a branch, bro.
With a beard.
Don't lie to me. But what I'm saying is like masculinity has always been changing, and uh, and the change has been to make boys less dangerous, smarter. Maybe like if that's how you want to define it, but
see, I wouldn't necessarily
they're not
consider
doing
it
that for no
smart.
reason. They're doing that to stop crimes,
But
stop
then,
murders, stop
at
rape.
a detriment, though. The whole idea is, yeah, okay. There was a good intentions behind it, yes, but if you're making softer men, like who are going to be the guys to actually dig the ditches, build the roads, do all the hard jobs that really men were doing, masculine men were doing.
We just give that all to the Mexicans, bro. That's just what we do.
Yeah, and then they come here, they grow a life, they become softer. They become softer boys, and then what?
There hasn't been a shortage of roads being made though. That hasn't stopped. They haven't stopped making roads, bro.
I would tell you right now. I would tell you right now. There's a lot. If you actually look it up, there's a lot less boys, young men actually going into trades. Like that's actually a serious problem. Like there's less boys actually going into trades. So there's less like companies are willing to pay people. They're just not getting enough people. And now the older generation are dying off. So now what's going to happen? Because everyone is being funneled. Oh, become smarter. Just go to school because that'll make you smart.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Like sometimes I think guys naturally want to be working with their hands. They kind of naturally want to be building. We guys like to work with their hands. They like to work with more things. Women like to work with people.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that's always going to be there, and they're always going to be guys to make roads and build bridges and build houses. As demasculated as they get, the interest never leaves. You know what I'm saying? That's something that you're instilled in. And that's like it's a weird argument to say that because men are being and it's only that they say that men are being feminized. I haven't seen it. Like I haven't seen the drop.
Less masculine.
I haven't seen the drop in anything really.
Testosterone? Isn't that actually like a thing? Like a drop in testosterone in men?
Like on average, or like as you get older? Because you get older, you drop testosterone.
I mean, you're talking about getting older, but I'm saying that testosterone levels from generations prior has actually went down.
But you can't really blame that on society, really, can you? Like you can blame that on environmental reasons, global warming, plastic in the air.
I don't think
I'm saying like you can't just blame one thing on that. That's a big thing.
I think it would be.
It's a very broad.
I think it is society that right now. I think you know it is media and movies and outside influence that encourages boys to be more feminine. And you know, at the end of the day, like I don't think that there's anything wrong with being a man and being in touch with the feminine side, because no one is completely you know, feminine, nobody's completely masculine. Obviously men have, you know, for instance, like men have estrogen in their systems.
Not me, bro.
And okay.
I'm fucking brolic.
Yeah.
Somebody just commented that there has been a lot of controversy around a lot of products out there that do cause a drop in testosterone in men. So not only is it just influence from media and society, but it's also chemically being induced through certain products that we use. Now obviously, like, you know, you can look at that as maybe conspiracy, and we can definitely probably need to dig deeper into that. But I've definitely seen that floating the internet enough to suspect that it's true. I'm not gonna go out on a whim and say, yeah, no, we're definitely being fed products that are lowering our testosterone. Yeah. But you know, there is a different.
I agree, X, but I think it's the opposite conspiracy. We're getting fed to become bigger goons. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean bigger goons?
I mean, look at the football players in the 1950s and look at the football players now. It doesn't look to me like we're becoming less masculine. It looks like we're becoming bigger, stronger,
yeah, but look
faster.
At the rules in football now.
And like, they're adding testosterone.
You can't even tackle. You can hardly tackle a quarterback now. Like,
yeah,
look at
for our own safety. We're
Yeah.
not 160 pounds now. We're 250-pound giant refrigerators running into each other. You know what I'm saying? Like the sport has changed, and you gotta adjust to the sport so more guys aren't getting CTE. What I'm seeing is the food is making us more. They're putting testosterone in fucking cows. Like they're giving us more hormones. They're making us more masculine.
No, well, if you're being fed something, wouldn't your body produce less of it though? Because now you're getting it from an outside source.
Yeah, that's a good point, Clem.
Yeah.
I think there are multiple factors that go into it. So I'm not a blanket statement person. So yeah, it could be some of society. It could be some of the products. I haven't done enough research, but either way, I have seen it be projected in society just with the trends that go on with men flipping the switch challenge and changing into women clothes. And I think it's just mass manipulation and perversion because, maybe this is a little bit conspiracy, but weaker men and a weaker society has to depend on the government more. What makes us so afraid of strong men? And then since I have a relationship with God, and I just think of Genesis in the foundation of man and woman and everything that they emulate. And I feel like the foundation of being a man and woman is just in the midst of a mass perversion of trying to blur the gender lines and to take away the difference between the two. And so maybe it is a little bit conspiracy, but I see it in the media.
Sense.
I don't know about food, but
Fran, you've been laughing this whole time. What's going on?
Oh no,
Is there a
no.
joke we're missing?
It's just
Share the joke.
well, like no, no, because like remember that joke back like maybe a couple years ago, like Mountain Dew lowered by sperm count. Like
Oh yeah, I do remember
it's
that.
just you know.
I ran away from Mountain Dew after that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Like everything went to shit after that, right? But I just
Did it?
say, testosterone.
Did Mountain Dew cause the giant drop in masculinity and
Do you remember
testosterone in
that?
men?
That was a thing, right?
Yo, I was drinking.
People were
Oh my
definitely saying it.
God.
I don't know if it was true or not, but people were definitely saying it.
Yeah,
I know I stopped drinking Mountain Dew.
I stopped right. I was like, all right, I'm good.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know what this stuff. I need it for later on, but I know I need it
It's
later
like,
on.
damn. Like everything I think in excessive is going to be bad for you. If it's just like but the whole thing is when we were talking about the football players, this whole keto thing, protein thing is a thing now, and carbs are bad, and you need to work out, like be a gym rat. Back in the 50s, they weren't told that. Mind you, they didn't have processed food, but like they weren't like you gotta work out 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. They weren't like that back in the 1950s. Yeah, so things do change.
I agree.
And guys bulk up. Yeah. So yes, times are
So what's the gym?
Baby
What's the gym
boomers.
culture? Is that masculine?
The gym, no, it's just being healthy. Why would you want to put that in a categorized thing again? It's just like, oh, someone wants to work out. Okay, they want to look good. They want to be Instagram famous. They want to be do this and do that. They want to look good having sex. Who cares? So, but but that's definitely changed from that back in the 1950s. Like society loves gym. You gotta work out. You gotta eat right. Shakes. You see all this Hello Fresh. Eat
I don't
right.
know. I don't know if society loves
Be
gym.
organic,
I wouldn't
vegan.
say that. The obesity rate has went up. So
You don't think so?
I would say society.
Really? See, I didn't know that. I see.
But gym culture, I think, is more popular, but yeah, obesity is
It's on the
higher
rise.
It just continually.
See, well, I live. Well,
70% of Americans are obese.
Yeah,
sure, but I'm talking about North Jersey, like for where I grew up and was raised.
Well, I'm from South Jersey.
Really see an excessive amount of obese people. I guess I see a lot of gym, very fit. They like that Italian Jersey Shore thing. So maybe the Midwest Shore as a whole. But it's at the end of the day. You should, again, do not categorize what's masculine, what's feminine. Things do change. Baby boomers definitely have a very strict, not old-fashioned way of thinking. They think, still back in the 60s and 70s where we're not there anymore, but we still have to mend both. That's how I see it. Take that, take what we're doing now, and that's how we're perceiving life to be. So
Okay, hold on,
I'm
really
very
quick.
simple, I guess, maybe.
I have a quick video before we go on to the next one, the next topic. All right. So if you guys just mute your mics for a quick sec. All right, it's my guy.
Oh, Jesus.
Good men too before that will occur. But it seems to me that we're also increasingly dominated by a view of masculinity that's mostly characteristic of women who have terrible personality disorders and who are unable to have healthy relationships.
Mute your mics.
Now, but here's the problem. You know, this is something my wife has pointed out too. She said, well, men are going to have to stand up for themselves. But here's the problem. I know how to stand up to a man who's unfairly trespassing against me. And the reason I know that is because the parameters for my resistance are quite well defined, which is we talk, we argue, we push, and then it becomes physical, right? Like if we move beyond the boundaries of civil discourse, we know what the next step is. Okay, that's forbidden in discourse with women. And so I don't think that men can control crazy women. I really don't believe it. I think that they have to throw their hands up in it's not even disbelief. It's that there's no step forward that you can take under those circumstances, because if the man is offensive enough and crazy enough, the reaction becomes physical right away, or at least the threat is there. And when men are talking to each other in any serious manner, that underlying threat of physicality is always there, especially if it's a real conversation, and it keeps the thing civilized to some degree. You know, if you're talking to a man who wouldn't fight with you under any circumstances whatsoever, then you're talking to someone to whom you have absolutely no respect. But I can't see any way. For example, there's a woman in Toronto who's been organizing this movement, let's say, against me and some other people who are going to do a free speech event, and she managed to organize quite effectively. And she's quite offensive, you might say. She compared us to Nazis, for example, which, you know, publicly, using the swastika, which wasn't really something I was all that fond of. But I'm defenseless against that kind of female insanity, because the techniques that I would use against a man who was employing those tactics are forbidden to me. So I don't know, like, it seems to me that it isn't men that have to stand up and say enough of this, even though that is what they should do. It seems to me that it's sane women who have to stand up against their crazy sisters and say, look, enough of that, enough man-hating, enough pathology, enough bringing disgrace on us as a gender. But the problem there, and then I'll stop my little tirade, is that most of the women I know who are sane are busy doing sane things, right? They're off, they have their career, they have their family, they're quite occupied, and they don't seem to have the time or maybe even the interest to go after their crazy harpy sisters. And so I don't see any regulating force for that terrible femininity. And it seems to me to be invading the culture and undermining the masculine power of the culture in a way that's, I think, fatal. I really do believe that.
I too believe that this is symptomatic of the decline of Western culture, and it will just go down flat. I don't think people realize that, you know, masculinity still exists, okay, in the world as a code among jihadists, okay, and when you have passionate masculinity, okay, circling the borders like the Huns and the Vandals during the Roman Empire, that's what I see. I see this culture rotting from within, okay, and disemboweling itself, literally. Now, I have an overview of why we're having this problem.
I'm still muted. So I kind of want to go into that real quick. I definitely want to start with Elmer, because it seemed like you were a fan of Jordan Peterson.
Yo, I don't mind him. I don't mind him. If anything, I just hate his fans the most. Like,
really interesting.
Yeah. Well, here's what Jordan Peterson fans do. They go, "Oh, the lobster is the hierarchy, and the world is the 12 rules and order and chaos." And then you go up to them and you go, "Okay, so what do I do?" And they go, "Oh." And what Jordan Peterson does is he tells you what to do. He tells you what to do. He tells you to get a job. He tells you to get good at something. He tells you to find somebody. He tells you to get married, have kids.
He tells you to clean your room and make
right. He tells you what to do. But everyone else is like, "Oh, the lobster is this."
Well, okay, so then
lobster.
his disciples, his wayward disciples, then I would say that, because it's not so much him, because his message is it's very clear cut, straightforward, and
I feel like if anything, he'll agree with me. It just in the stance
Or you
that
agree with him. I don't know why. I don't know the other way
you know
around.
what? I'll give him that respect. I'll give him that respect. But he goes, women need to control the crazy women.
Yes.
And
You don't agree with that?
Yeah, I do, 100%.
Okay.
That's why I need to control the crazy fucking men. That's why I need to stop toxic masculinity. That's how I see it. That's why I need to grab a guy and be like, hey, you need to calm the fuck down because you're acting crazy and you're hurting a lot of people. You need to chill. So everything that I'm saying right now has been an effort for my own gender to stop that, to stop the crazy man. Because he says crazy women. There's that, to me, crazy man is that the toxic man, and that's what I'm trying to
But
do.
see, the thing is, the way I'm also seeing it is what you're doing, just stopping the crazy, the toxic men. Naturally, we do that. It's called jail. That's why it's full of men. And that's really just there right there. And most of the time, men will hop and beat the crap out of another man if he's stepping out of line anywhere.
What about the gray areas? What about the flashers? What about the gropers? What about the guys that grab girls' asses? What about the guys that sexually?
You really think most guys are kind of like, wow, he just grabbed her ass. Well, I'm just gonna keep walking this, or oh, he just flashed my girl, huh? I guess we're just gonna keep walking this way. Like nothing happened. I think men have. I think the world holds men responsible, whether we want to be held responsible or not. The world will hold you responsible. You cannot do a lot as a man without someone stepping in to check you.
Maybe in 50 years, like in the Me Too,
years.
like for the example, the Me Too, the whole Me Too thing, for like 50 years, all of Hollywood has been catering to a guy that has just been assaulting women and not saying anything, not doing anything, because of I don't know, fear or not wanting to get their own way. You know what I'm saying? So that man was held accountable, yes, but after destroying many lives. You know what I'm saying? So how do we get to the point where I can stop him right from the jump? And that's by noticing his toxic masculine traits when he's too aggressive sometimes, or when I notice him talking to a girl too much, putting his hand on his shoulder, rubbing her, and you see her look uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? These are all things that I'm trying as best I can, and even I fail. Even I do some shit that I don't know. Like I tell some stupid fucking jokes, and girls don't get uncomfortable. But like you try to do your best not to go blind by your own masculinity. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with women. Like you don't want to be. You don't want to just be some crazy fucking girl like yelling, burning fucking the guy's clothes in his front lawn, you know, stalking him and shit like that. Like you don't want to be like that. And it's up to the sane guys to tell the insane people that what they're doing, and not even insane. I'll say the ignorant people, because I'll say that I was ignorant at a point. There was this one time where I'm driving, I'm in a car with a girl, and she goes, and I go, and she's just a friend of mine, and I go, and we're turning, and I see some badass girl walking up the hill, and then I go and I say, and I yell something at her, and this is when I'm like 17, 18, I'm a fucking idiot.
So, ignorant.
And she's ignorant. She goes, hey, don't do that. That's fucking disgusting. What are you doing? And I know to some guys and some people listening, you go, how did you not know that was bad? But that's because of the culture. That's because of you see other guys do it, and then you see people, adults do it. You see adult men do it, and you look up to them, and then you think it's okay, and no one ever talks about it. And then I do it, and I thank God I had my friend next to me to tell me that was bad. And ever since then, that's how I've been looking at things. Like, listen, like you don't know. Sometimes it's a total mistake, but one total mistake can ruin a girl's life. Like one mistake can make a girl so afraid to go outside that that she just stays inside and she doesn't trust any man, and then she starts hating men, and then she goes crazy. Like it's a vicious cycle. So what I'm trying to do is to stop that. Like what I'm trying to do is if I could find a way, and I'm not gonna do it. I'm just a piece of garbage. I don't want to do any work. But if I could say something so that people could be like, hey, that's not right, then I would do that.
I mean, it does only take that one person to kind of get the flow going. So, the ladies on the panel, I'm curious on your thoughts on this.
I don't think we're as, I get what you're saying, but I don't think we're as weak-willed and fragile as you think we are. I feel like if someone was to say those things, it wouldn't make us crawl up in a hole and stay home. I get what you're saying about accountability, but I just feel like, life sucks. And especially, like, I'm a Jordan Peterson fan, and I feel like life sucks. Do something about it. Stick up for yourself. Keep it pushing, and don't allow yourself to deplete. Like, if someone is harassing you, hopefully people around will hold each other accountable. I get what you're saying, but I just don't think women are so fragile that life will be so difficult if someone says, oh, your butt is fat and this and that and the third,
Some women.
I'm a Jordan Peterson fan too, and I've never been like, yo, the lobsters, like I never.
Yeah, I know that was a little weird. That was a little weird.
I mean, I totally understand where Jordan Peter. I'm actually still in the middle of listening to the audiobook of 12 Rules. What is it? 12 Rules for Life.
12 Rules to Life.
Yeah.
My favorite book.
Say again.
I said one of my favorite books.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. Sometimes sometimes Jordan Peterson is kind of like very like doom and gloom in the sense that like he gives kind of like the ultimately like grim kind of view of things, right? But I think that's important. That's what's so important about him is that like he says like like he brings out the thoughts that kind of that make us realize that like, hey, some of these things that are becoming social norms are actually very dangerous because they're okay now, but if they continue to snowball and become bigger issues, then it's like, oh shit, like like he I've listened to like all of his podcasts,
Like what,
the
X?
Rogan podcasts. Well, I mean, right now, the whole reason he's famous. Do you know why? What brought him into fame?
Yeah, I know why.
The whole C-16 bill in Canada,
Yeah.
where they're trying to control language. So like that, I mean, just that example alone of them, like speak of
Free speech.
we have freedom of speech, in Canada and United States, but like the fact that even though it's just a small portion of speech, them saying, hey, like you are gonna go to jail if you misgender someone, as easy as that is, like how easy it is to misgender someone who's like imagine me like dressed in a dress, but I have this goatee. You know what I mean? Like what are you
That's
you know
hot.
like if that floats your boat, but like if you see me walking around with a goatee and masculine traits, you're gonna gender me as a man now. And if if I don't categorize myself as a man, I don't identify as a man, you're supposed to go to jail. Now that's controlling speech. And so now when you give someone an inch, they're gonna try to take a mile, and then once they take the mile, they're trying to take 10 miles. And so and it has a snowball effect. And when you read into history, it's like, you know what, like that is how these how these little things, these little freedoms taken away. I mean, just look at like what we're going through today in America, like with like the reason so many people are afraid of these mask mandates and vaccine mandates that are starting to, there's certain places you can't travel to with vaccine. It's I can sympathize when people say like, hey, like they're trying to control our freedoms. And maybe, maybe we when you have that opinion, maybe it is a little far-fetched. But what if it's not? Like should you allow the possibility of your freedoms being taken away to just fly over your head? Or should you really pay attention and say, hold on, like I have to pay attention because like, like we sign shit like like on our phone. Like look at how easy it is on our phones. Like from one day to the next, we're pretty pretty much being spied on by marketers. Like that happened from one day to the next. Like we joke, like people still joke about it. Like, oh, they're like they're listening. I was
They're
just talking
listening. They're
about
always
cat food,
listening. Yeah.
and cat food is popping. Like, yes, they are listening. Like, yes, like it's a real thing. So like, where's that gonna go? How far is that gonna go? So like that's why I am a fan of Jordan Peterson, because he makes you look at these things and say, wait, okay, like I mean, at the end of the day, this type of marketing in a sense is beneficial, right? Because when I talk about an item that I want to buy, I might, if I didn't write it down and I forget about it, but then I marketed it like 10 minutes later while I'm scrolling through Instagram, like, oh shit, like there goes that Adidas t-shirt that I said I wanted to buy, or some like this week I went to the mall to buy some shorts and I couldn't find a specific type of short that I was looking for, and it's literally being marketed to me on my phone. And now, I mean, at some point I
Impressive
saved
stuff.
it on my top. It's impressive, but it's also scary, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like, okay, at what point now, like like they're like.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I feel another rant coming on, and I got to stop you there.
Okay.
We got to move to the next topic.
Okay, for sure.
If you're just joining in, welcome to the CKQ podcast. My name is Clement, your host, and we're moving on to our next topic. Boys adopting responsibility helps to build masculinity. Maddie?
Someone else could go first.
What? What is this? X, you want to start us?
Yeah, I'll go first. Boys adopting responsibility helps to build. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. Like, when I was young, I think about 11 or 12 years old, my father used to wake me up on Saturdays at like 5 o'clock in the morning to go work at the bodega with him. And I hated it at the time, but like every Saturday I had the responsibility to get up at 5 o'clock and go to work. And I feel like that definitely instilled a work ethic in me. Although sometimes I can still be lazy, from time to time, I still know I got to get my ass up and go to work. And ultimately, it is a masculine trait to provide for yourself and for your family. And so, having that responsibility instilled from young is, I think, definitely has shaped my own masculinity. So and I think that the more responsibility we give young boys, the better. Obviously we don't want to overload them to the point where they're young slaves or whatever, but I do think that giving young boys responsibility will build their masculinity. Absolutely.
Fran?
See, like
I
how I
guess
look at that
the women are
is
having a
just
hard
like
time
anyone as
answering.
No, it's just like the whole thing is if you're a young boy, like you're developing, like you're starting, let's say 13, 14, you get little odd jobs, doing the lawn, doing stuff for like the neighbors, if that's a thing, doing errands. It's just building, just again, like what Xavier said, just good work ethic. Has nothing to do with being masculine. It's just making sure, like, whoever is raising this boy or whatever, it's just building that, like, that character, just to not be lazy. Just how could you define that as being masculine? Just like growing up. No, like that's how I view things. Again, as I could see, like I have no siblings, or I didn't really raise or was around surrounded by like young like guys like that. But I just feel like, when I started doing like little odd jobs at 16, 17, like did that gain my feminism? No. Just being human. So again, like if a guy, like if let's just say if like a dude, let's say a father is trying to teach his son how to change a pipe, right? So that's great skills. Why would that have to yeah, be the man of the house? But why would that have to like develop your masculinity towards it? It's just like life skills, That's how I see it. Maybe I'm being very like ignorant over it. I just feel like when you
again,
build like skills,
the whole point is
trade,
just.
I agree with Francesca.
it's just
I
like I feel like it's so normal. Like, to me, that would be so normal. If someone would just say, well, I don't want my son to do that or get his hands dirty because I don't want him to think a certain way, then there's something wrong with you. Sorry. It's just being human. Like, don't try to categorize it again. Right? I don't know.
Yeah, that's why
That's how I see it.
I agree. That's why I struggle with the question, because I'm just like, responsibility in anyone kind of develops your personality and your character. Whether you give
Yeah, that's true.
responsibility to a woman or a man, you're developing your femininity. You could say you're developing your masculinity. It's just like we both have responsibilities in our gender, and it develops you into the person that you're going to be. Whether you tap into your femininity or not, it's beneficial to have responsibility to grow into a beneficial person in society.
Yeah. We're making some people happy. Look at that. All right. We're changing lives, people. We're changing lives. I like that one. I like that one. I like all those answers. It was good. So we're gonna move on to the next topic. All right. Strong and independent will lose a partner. Understanding and cooperative will keep them.
Strong and independent.
I can go first, Clem.
Yeah. Okay.
I was struggling with this question too because I don't think those have to be opposites. You know, you can be strong and independent to a point, and then also be understanding and cooperative. You can have both. You can have all four. You know, it's all based on levels. If you're too independent, too headstrong, your partner doesn't jive with that, then it's gonna cause trouble. I think it all depends on what you're lacking and what you gain, and what they lack and what they gain, in order to complete each other, in order to be simpatico.
Yeah, I think I don't think you can have two leaders in a situation. If you're going to be in a relationship, there can't be two leaders. You guys are going to have to switch off and comply and conform one way or the other. Like, you're going to have to be cooperative and understanding this way or that way. It can change who's the leader, but in certain situations, but I just feel like understanding and cooperation is just, it comes with relationships. I mean, to be in an intimate relationship, you have to be selfless. You have to be understanding and cooperative, or else two strong people and strong independent people are going to butt heads, and it kind of contradicts the meaning of a relationship. I mean, yes, you can have your autonomy, but understand, I guess it depends on the type of relationship, because you merge as one. Yes, there's autonomy, but you gotta figure stuff out. It's a lot deeper, I think, than just a yes or no.
Fran?
See, well, the whole thing with me when it comes to, like, if someone, like, I have a very strong personality. So if I were to have a relationship with a man, and if he was like, I don't know, just someone that's very like, yes, honey, don't worry about that, honey. I understand you. How are your feelings today? I would think he's like, I'm like, no, that's not for me. That's how I see it. But you could also have someone with a great, like, good, like, alpha kind of like attitude that like kind of like suits you, and also be cooperative. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it matters if two people are in, like, very strong. If someone's stubborn, it happens. Someone's gonna be weak with a situation, like if there's like a really traumatic thing that happens, and one is going to be a little like, oh well, I'm sad about this, and if your partner has to support you, that's fine. But I don't think that, like, someone could just be like a perfectly independent and strong and also be understanding when it comes to situations. But that's just how I see it. I don't
See,
think it
okay, so
matters.
I'm gonna step on a little toes with this one, all right? Because I've noticed a lot of the time when I've noticed a lot more like women usually say this, where it's like, oh, like I work very hard, I'm educated, I'm strong, I'm independent. Those are typically single women. And what the reason why I say that, because understanding and cooperative is a lot more conducive to go through a relationship with someone, as opposed to strong and independent. Because strong and independent just means you can take care of yourself. You're self-sufficient. You can sustain your own life. That's good for you. But that does not necessarily mean you can work with someone else with an attitude like that.
Well, I disagree because the only thing what I'm trying to say, if I'm strong and independent, has nothing to do with me. Like I don't need you. I got my own money. I'm talking about I can make my own decisions. I
Mm-hmm.
could have an opinion. I could actually make a joke. There was
Mm-hmm.
this one guy I met a long time ago. He goes, "Woman can't be funny." I was like, "Well, you haven't had to really had a drink with me." No, I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
You know what?
that's
He
what I'm
gets
trying to
this.
say. Like you have to have your own
That's what that guy
personality.
gets.
What was that?
But like
Press it again.
that's
Come.
how I see it. Like it's not.
Well, I get what you're
It's just
saying,
not
but
like like oh well. I don't know.
No, finish. Hold on, Fran, finish what you were saying, and then we'll go to you, Maddie.
I was just saying, like, I'm not going to be in a relationship. I'm not going to say, this is my rules. I don't need you. If you leave tomorrow, I don't need you. I'm never going to be like that. Of course, I want to be babied. Of course, I like babied, but, like, I want to be loved and comfort.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying,
Mm.
like, if a situation would happen and if I have to be strong for that situation, I will offer that. I'm not going
Yeah.
to be like the damsel in distress. Never.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got a
And
personality. I'm
and I would say
bubbly. That's how I
that's
see
more
it.
cooperative. Yeah, you're cooperative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Can I make a point to you, Clem, about the
Okay.
strong, independent women being
Okay.
single?
Okay.
I think it's honestly because most men are bitches. Like
Hey, we have
most
softer
men
men.
are,
Yeah.
yeah, most men are soft. Uh,
Yeah.
I think that Jordan Peterson, ex's Messiah, said it himself. He's like, I don't know how to handle a girl like that, but Elmer knows how to handle a girl like that. So if any of you ladies are interested, my name. I just looked at my girl.
Man,
My girl
sleep
just
on the couch.
looked at me like so. But to my point, it's like I think that women are evolving, and we gotta evolve to compensate with them, which is ultimately a good thing. Like ultimately, I'm trying to reach up to you, and you're up there. Then we're both going up. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's gonna be a bigger issue in the future. And what I don't want to promote is the fact that you got to be submissive and you got to be if that's not your style. If that's your style, by all means, go ahead. But if that isn't your style, then be you, and there'll be someone out there that will compensate with that.
Oh my god.
Nah, I feel you, Bronsberg.
All right, guys, calm down. Maddie, you had a point that you were gonna make before.
I was just gonna say that's just what I was saying earlier is, there can't be two leaders. Yeah, you can be strong and make your own decisions and all of that good stuff, but you have to understand, like, my decision isn't the end all be all. I have to be able to compromise with this person. And I get what you're saying. I mean, you're not saying that, like someone commented, like it's not exclusive. You can be all of those things. But I think just as a woman and from my viewpoint, I feel like cooperation and understanding isn't weak and the bad connotation of submissive. I feel like
Yep.
it's in a way strong because you understand, like, okay, I'm able to commit to this person, and I'm able to not be argumentative, and I understand that if you want a relationship, you're going to have to someone's going to have to die to themselves in some form. There can't be two leaders. So in some situations, you are going to have to be like,
I'm sorry, I just read the comment.
you said blink twice. But yeah,
My
in
girl
some
fights. We spar every night.
but yeah, in some situations, I just feel like I feel like being strong, it can only be one person at a time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can't have two people that are strong-willed. I want to live here. I want to live there. No, it's my way or this way. That's kind of how I'm thinking of it. I'm like, okay, you may want to do this, you may want to do that, but someone has to submit.
I think you can both be strong, but I don't think that both can be strong and independent. You know what I mean? I think that and to your point, Maddie, I think that being understanding and cooperative is being strong. You know what I mean? Like you can, it shows strength to kind of put your own pride aside and to go with what the next person is saying. Now that being said, I do think that women find independence in men more attractive than men find independence in women. And not to say
Agreed.
that independence in women is not attractive, because it is. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it all depends what kind of man you are. Because if you're like, for instance, if I'm a man that's making $300,000-400,000 a year, I really don't care at all if a woman is independent, because at that point you can just take care of a woman. And so at that point, that's not what you're looking. I don't think that's what you're necessarily looking for in a woman. Now me, making under 100 grand or around 100 grand, I'm like, I mean, I guess I could support a woman, but like, that's really, it's gonna leave me in a tighter space. So that an independent woman is more attractive to me in that sense. Someone who can hold their own weight until I get to the point where I she doesn't have to. Because ultimately, I think that you know. Speaking for myself, I grew up when I remember when I was a child, my father made enough money to the point where he was able to support the whole family, and my mom didn't have to work. And I knew that like my household was in much better order back then, until it got to the point where she had to work. And then that's where
Things
things
ain't running
kind of got,
smoothly.
yeah, things weren't running as smoothly. And the same thing goes, like I mentioned last time I was on here, I have a 14-year-old daughter. Her mother and I aren't together. And like her mother in a sense is an independent woman, so it's beneficial to me that we both can kind of take care of her. But at the same time, it if I was at a point where, if we were together, if I was at a point where I could just maintain my daughter's mother at home to run the family in a traditional sense, I do think that the family unit is
Structure.
strong. The family structure is stronger in that sense. And that's just not in my own experience, but just in like the people I've seen around me. I feel like that does tend to be the case.
Okay, hold on, really quick. Um, so again, if you're gonna come up here, make sure you have a cam, or if your cam is messed up, make sure you have a mic, maybe a little bit good lighting. I'm gonna put the link in the description. If you have any kind of disagreements, you can come up now. Please, no trolls. I already had my first troll. It's proud. It's a proud moment, but still, I don't really want another troll.
My
please.
guy Mike.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you, Clem, he's my best friend. I didn't know.
I figured that.
I didn't know he was gonna do that. Clem, I was actually in a yoga class with X's ex-wife, and I was about to hit on her. This is before I met you. I was about to hit on her.
I see you blinking twice, bro.
Yeah. I was like, oh, all right. And then I'm like, I'm gonna hit on her next class. And then X was like, oh, my wife goes to, and I'm like, what's her name? And she goes, oh. And then he goes, you're about to hit on her, don't you? And I'm like,
Guy code, bro.
yep. You gotta tell these things, X.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't know that you knew her.
It's
like,
yeah.
like,
It was just a funny situation.
All right, we're gonna bring up one person, Bronze Bird. Bronze Bird, come in. You got one disagreement. How you doing, Bronze Bird?
Peace to all y'all in the chat. How y'all doing?
Fantastic. How you doing, my man?
Good to see all y'all. All y'all look happy. Seem like all smiles. You know what I mean? I dig that. So I just wanted to contribute a little bit, if you don't mind, about the independent aspect, and I was just curious if you guys have heard about something called male culture.
No.
You haven't heard about male culture. Okay. I'll get to that in a second, but I think the problem that we're having in this society alone, whether we want to talk about toxic masculinity or we're talking about the idea of independence, we're moving into a narcissistic culture where everybody's concerned about themselves. So the selfless love aspect just kind of seems like out the window because everything is about me, 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 me. So nobody really cares about trying to build as a collective, and it just hurts because the dating and the marriage field shows that. And constantly I hear a lot that when it's even talking about divorces is like high. And divorces, they'll say, and I'm not trying to make this a gender thing, but they'll say that divorces is initiated by women by 80%. So I sit back and I be like, hey, look, listen, I'm about selfless. I'm about love for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But when you get into that conversation about the independent woman, I think the thing about it is it's not about trying to be on the woman's level. It's just that men don't want an independent woman because it requires them to feel as if like they're not mattered in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the independent woman narrative is kind of like, well, I can do it better than you can, and you can't do it the way that I can. So that's my whole take about the independent woman. My aspect is when it comes to a woman, I don't want an independent woman. Like, I'm saying I don't want an independent woman who's the toxic one to be like, oh, I pay all my bills, you
Yeah,
pay my bills.
just trying to one up you at
You know what I
every
mean?
turn kind of
Not
thing.
right.
Okay.
Not the one that's gonna one up me. Like I believe that a woman can have an education, she can have a good job, finances will come
Wait,
into
you don't
it.
believe they should be in the kitchen?
Yeah. Look, listen, we can cook meals together, man. It's about compromise. Look,
Yeah,
make a
listen,
sandwich, make a
Clem.
gourmet.
Everybody should be in the kitchen.
Clem X, we're all fighters. We're all been fighting for a minute, and like, I love an easy fight. You know what I'm saying? I would love to fight someone with no arms. You know what I'm saying? Get that quick KO,
that
knock
came
them
in a
out. You know what
wheelchair.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. But what's the most exhilarating fight? What's the fight that you're gonna remember for the rest of your life?
Yeah, a
That's
one
the
night
fight
stand. A one night stand is that's what that is exactly. That's a perfect example. Honestly, seriously, that is the perfect example. Thank you for that because that is a one night stand. Is that fight like wow? That was fun. I do not want to keep doing this every single day though.
Yeah, no.
Like this will you. A lot of guys after a stressful day, you kind of want to come home to peace. You kind of want to come home to someone that and obviously like both parties want that. But I would say for a guy having someone that's gonna challenge you at every turn when you come home it's like I'll live on my own. I'd much rather just be single than have someone who believes because I'm independent I can do all this on my own. I don't I can challenge you at every turn.
You don't want just peace, though. You know what I'm saying? You want a little bit of a fight. You want a little bit of contention. So it makes your life interesting. It gives you a thing to talk about. It stops you from being bored and getting a divorce because, oh, this girl's so boring. She stopped being sexy. Like, you're always got to test yourself. You always got to make yourself better. And then
I
you
think
always got to.
if it's in an agreement, yeah.
I mean, Elmer, no. I want to ask you a question. You talk about fights. I mean, are you asking for full-on brawls? Like, I'm confused.
Well, Elmer does actually spar with his girlfriend sometimes. I mean, but
my girl's an animal.
She's a fighter too. But no, I mean, I agree with Elmer in a certain. I don't know all the way, but I do agree that like not just your woman, but the man. A woman's man should also like challenge. You guys should challenge each other when necessary. So I think that's if you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what Elmer's getting at. Is like you want your woman to challenge you if you're starting to get weak in a certain sense. So and I think that is ultimately the woman's job. Like I think part of what we're seeing today in society is like because women are have been led to be more independent by society. That's why women are more challenging today than in the past. I actually saw a post on Instagram today. Somebody sent it was a woman. She was saying like, listen, like there's like 4 women for every man in this world. Then like a quarter of men are in jail, and a quarter of men are in the LGBT community.
Yo, give them to me. I'll take them.
So that's the thing. She said there's a man shortage. There's a shortage of men. And I mean, she was like joking. She was like, "Oh, so you think that you're allowed? You can have one man all to yourself?" She's like, "No, we got to share him." Like that was her joke. But in a sense, it's like, man, that's crazy that like there are more women than men. But yet it's still, I think, more challenging now than ever for men to get I mean not in that sense. Men can always get women, but I think that independent women are more challenging because that's what women are supposed to do. Women are supposed to challenge men. They're not supposed to just lay over and let a man
Roll
take
over,
over
yeah.
them. But because society is confusing everything, I think that's where we're seeing a lot of contention in between the genders.
I mean, everything evolves, everything changes, everything turns different. You know what I'm saying? Like 30 years ago, there weren't as many women working with you. There weren't as many women making 200K plus a year. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta, if they don't need you, what do you need? What do they need you for? And like, as much as they say they don't need you, they need you. That's a good thing. That's the one thing about relationship, about men and women, is that we will always need each other from the day we're born to the day we die.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out as guys what the new angle is. What's the new thing? What's the new thing I got to do? And I'll do it. I'll find it.
I don't think the angle ever changes. It's always like, if you're a man who can provide and protect no matter at whatever capacity it is, that's the angle. That's always been the angle. That'll always be the angle.
Yeah.
So,
how do I convince my girl that's the angle? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I
you gotta fight her
spar with her, man.
Right.
There you go.
That's what you gotta do.
Clem made my point. He's like, you gotta be this much. Just trip her. Throw sand in her face.
There we go. Listen, wait till she's not looking. Hit her with the laptop. You good. We didn't see anything.
Throw a chair at her.
It's by an accident,
Bronze Bird, do you have any last comments?
No. I wanted to say a little bit about toxic masculinity and male culture real quick.
Yeah, of course.
So I was having a conversation with someone on IG about the whole entire male culture, because she put it out there, and I honestly, I don't get what male culture is. It's just this kind of unruly thing to say that men are trying to flex that they're men against women. And so when people say things like toxic masculinity, I sit here stuck, because as a man, it's my innate nature to do certain things that a woman doesn't do. Even down to my personality, I realize naturally I can be more aggressive than a woman. So toxic masculinity to me, it's just kind of like, I don't really want to say an oxymoron per se, but it's just one of those sort of things I have to scratch my head like, huh? So you're saying that if I explain something to you, that's toxic masculinity. If I say something, that's mansplaining. If I sit in a certain way, that's manspreading. So you're mad at me for being a man. This is how I roll. When do we ever get to the conversation about toxic femininity then, to waver the playing field? And every time that question comes up, a lot of people backtrack. And then it's just like, what? So it's toxic masculinity, but there's no toxic femininity or toxic feminist. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But I'll probably just drop down and listen to y'all in the comments. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Listen, every time Wednesday at 8:30, we always go live. There's gonna be different people. Some people might be the same, and you're always welcome to hop in. Everyone gets one, though. Everybody gets one.
Straight.
All right. Thanks for coming out.
Take care, guys.
Right.
Clem, can I try to answer that last what he was asking?
Yeah, but we do have someone in the comments that did help to help you fight your girl. All right. There you go. From Steph.
There you go. There's no rules.
No rules.
No rules.
Okay, go for it.
So what he was saying is, damn, I forgot. All right, next question. So what he was saying, in terms of like toxic masculinity and like when is the feminine question gonna be asked and answered? When is the feminine
when has that gone too far on the feminine side? Yeah.
And it's part of the reason why with respect, and I don't think we're doing it on purpose, but why Francesca and Madison aren't answering as much. And it's because the topic of toxic masculinity is a fight between us. It's a fight on the inside. That's like, I feel like there's a civil war going on right now. And when it comes to between men, and like anyone is like has their opinions, and can say whatever they want, but the change is going to come from the inside. And the same thing with toxic femininity. It's going to come from the inside. It's going to come from
what Jordan Peterson was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Your boy.
Exactly.
But wait, I have a question.
I love that guy.
Wait, I wanted to make a comment real quick.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the vagina march, the women's march? They wear the vagina hats. Like, how do you guys take that? Because I think that's a little too much. Personally,
is that the slut walk?
It's a women's march they do in DC. Well, they do all that. Like, that to me is like,
women's march.
That's a little like.
Much.
Like if
there's this one in DC. There's this. I think
one thing, and if it's like a women's march, that's another thing.
Well, they're the ones that are like, I'm allowed to bleed. Like, I'm not trying to be like disgusting by saying this, but like, it's like pro woman.
Continue.
How do you guys feel about that? Being like, what you see women having their own marches. Like, if you guys had like, if there was a march for just male, we're male. Oh, we're proud to be male. That's just like, oh my God, absurd. So how do you feel that
that'd be labeled as toxic masculinity right away?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like me, I'm just saying personally, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't march.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
Yeah.
That's just.
I mean, it depends.
I can say that. I can have an opinion on it.
It depends where it's coming from. You know what I mean? Because like at the end of the day, I do get why women. You know, I mean, historically, women have been oppressed to a certain point. In this country and in the world, you know, I think one of the biggest issues that come up when it comes to like women's marches and stuff like that, it's a lot of it is born from, you know, all like these anti-abortion laws and stuff like that. Now, like me on a personal level, I don't necessarily agree with abortion, but at the same time, I don't get pregnant. It's not my body. I don't think that you know, me or any other man should make laws to prevent women from doing what is right for their own body. And I think, you know, that's what a lot of these women marches are about, is like just control to have control over their own body. Because, you know, there are plenty of places where women aren't allowed to. I mean, I don't think there's so many states now, but, you know, I know, where was it, like Alabama or Mississippi? I think they just outlawed abortion again, and you know, Roe versus Wade is always a topic of conversation. And like, you know, I have a lot of religious people in my family that sometimes will vote on a politician based on that politician's view on abortion. And what I always tell them, I'm like, listen, if like that abortion is like most of the time is a spiritual talk, it's a religious talk, and that's in between you and God, right? So if you're a woman and you're going to have you're going to make the choice to have an abortion, that's between you and God, but not between you and men. And so, and you know, men make the laws. And I mean, to answer the question, I think that's what these women marches about. So I'm not totally against, you know, women marches. Now you talk about the slut walk, when women, you know, march in pride of being sluts, when it's like that's, you know, like, I mean, you know, men aren't marching around saying, you know, I'm
a rapist.
Tell him, X.
Or you know what
tell
I mean?
Him,
like,
X. Tell him.
No, X will give it to you. That's you know, I mean, like, that's the truth, is like, you know, you're attractive to the most in the most carnal way if you're a slut. You know what I mean? Like you said, like, you don't want to do the one night stand every night. And at the end of the day, like, you know, most of these women in slut marches are all single, you know, for the most part, or I'm almost positive they're with weak men. So like I said, so it depends on what the march is about, is gonna kind of sway how I feel about it.
I was just trying to get to a point that, like, you know, women, yes, I guess, with the body and, you know, abortions, but doing the slut shaming and having these rallies for women, you know, like grow your armpit hair and all this weird shit. Like, that's very extreme for feminism, but that's not considered as toxic, right? So, you know, yeah, it's weird to me. But for guys, if you were to have like a rally or a march or something like, oh, well, appreciate the man, or something like if you have a slogan or like, let's have our schlongs hang out, whatever, I don't know. That's where it's toxic. So why is it let's free the boobs, do all the stuff? So it's like this is
Well,
where I'm trying to get at
That's what
is
I'm saying. I think the slut
you're
walk
always
is.
gonna make one thing more secure than the other.
Keep going, Francesca. Hold on. Let her finish. I
Sorry,
think you're
what did you
lagging a
say?
little behind, but go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so
Yeah.
so basically, that's where I'm getting at. Just having you're allowed to do this because feminism to me is Susan B. Anthony. Women were allowed to vote, 1920. Things were doing, like better for the women, able to go to college and stuff like that. That's feminism to a point like, okay, let's stop segregating genders. Now I feel like it's so excessive to the point where, you could look a certain way and Photoshop your thing, do this, and look like that. But a guy, if he's like showing his body, like, oh, he's just a man whore. So like there's it's so like a juggling thing with the whole gender thing. That's what I don't understand. That's what I'm trying to say. So how do you guys feel the fact that we're able to do a lot more than you? Not talking about rapists or anything like that or having sex. I'm just talking about just image, self-image, from a female's point of view and a male's point of view. Like, how do you guys feel about that?
That's a
Because there's
very
so much more that we could do and it's allowed, and you guys can't. So how do you guys feel about that? Because I think
But
that's kind of fucked up.
in
That's
what
just
sense?
me, though.
In what sense do you mean you can do more than us though? Like as far as just like being more open with your bodies and.
Well, I'm talking about
having-
allowed to have like, the some marches, allowed to have like the Me Too movement, like just silly little things. I could go on and on. There's
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
things.
But like, I mean,
Instagram, like
and I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm not saying I agree with this, but like a man can walk with his shirt off outside without a problem versus a woman walking with
Yeah.
a shirt
well. I
off.
mean, she can.
I can show my nipples on
She
Instagram.
she perfectly can do that.
Can
It'll
she?
just
I mean,
she can.
you know what I mean? I know
She'll
that's
definitely
really
be looked at
difficult.
by just about everyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot more dangerous for her to do it than for us to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it done in a dangerous way. There was actually a video on YouTube where a woman was trying to protest that, so she went into a swimming pool without her shirt. She just went in there with just trunks.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, like so she was just kind of like casual about it. And there was a bunch of like old guys that are kind of like, what the hell is this girl doing? Like, well, she got her boobs out. They didn't have any Viagra or anything, so they couldn't really even enjoy that. So it sucks for them.
Right.
But it was just she could still do it. No one stopped her. But I get what you're saying.
Just to touch base on earlier, I do have a lot to say about the topic, but I'm new to this and I don't like interrupting people. So I'm going to try to get my words in while I can right now. But I think it just depends on how the media presents it. I feel like obviously there's an attack on men, like Francesca was talking about, and that the same traits society shames in men are the same traits that are celebrated in women. It's like, why can't we all have these things, these good qualities, ambition, drive, all of this stuff, and be able to just accept each other as individuals and different in some sense. I feel like at the end of the day, it's all in how the media presents it. Like Francesca said earlier, with the slut walk or the vagina walk or whatever it is. Yeah, if men did that, it would be deemed as bad. But yeah, there's also, like more an attack on men, as in, like we talked about earlier, more men in prison or more men seen as aggressive, or even just the term toxic masculinity. Men, undeniably, men can't do the same thing as women, vice versa. But I do feel like women are a little more liberated in a sense, because we don't get shamed as much for a lot of things. And if we do get shamed, then we have the whole feminist movement, like, how dare you? But men don't really have that crowd of men to say, like, how dare you shame us, So
Can I ask you a question, Madison?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm a man.
I can't believe it. Toxic.
When you say that women get celebrated for touting male masculine traits, do you say that as a bad thing? Is that a bad thing to you, do you believe?
I mean, I kind of understand both sides in the sense where I'm like, if you're a woman and you want to do what you want to do that. personally, for me, I'm more traditional. I think, like how we talked about earlier, strong and independent women may be attractive, but does it sustain a relationship? That's kind of how my mind works. Like, women kind of operate differently, and I don't think that we should go too far left into certain traits that make us, you know, I don't really know how to word it, but I kind of think differently. But I'm not bashing any woman that wants to choose certain things for herself. I do think that in some areas in society, it can be detrimental to women's relationship and marriage. And like the guy came on earlier and kind of talked about how, we don't have the selflessness in society. And I agree. We're so focused on this, oh my gosh, individualism, self-help books, all of this stuff, to where we become so pulled away from actual relationship that we actually become narcissistic. And social media kind of feeds to that too, these instant relationships, instant gratification, not having to acknowledge people as individuals and humans behind a screen. We're taking away actual connection and actual relationship, and we're in a sense unlearning morality, unlearning relationship, becoming selfish instead of selfless. And yeah, a lot of traits that people do have are detrimental to relationships in society. But is that going to stop me from choosing my decision and being submissive and cooking in the kitchen and loving on my man? No, it's not going to stop me. It may stop the other woman, but I don't judge her. And that's where I'm kind of at with that.
Okay.
Would you a good wraparound?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to the last question. All right. So if you're just hopping in, welcome to CKQ Podcast, where we are hopping onto our last topic. Majority of women want an assertive masculine man. Oh. Oh.
It's like Madison is.
Heck yes. And I think women are lying if they say no. And I don't want to make a blanket statement. Some women don't. But think about the people that are portrayed in the media that women drool over. The Rock, Michael B. Jordan, all of these masculine, hardcore men. And it's like, I would be lying if I said I've seen a lot of feminized men being goo gaga over in social media. I think, yeah, women do
Harry Styles.
Strong masculine. I was shook when Harry did what Harry did, and I think a lot of people were.
Is he good looking man?
But I don't.
Harry Styles. Isn't that
Watermelon Sugar? Bam.
Was he the one that
he wore a dress? I think.
Yeah, that was the guy.
I did. I was trying to get it all in. E Black.
I think that women just don't wanna raise a fucking baby. Like I don't think women want a man that they have to take care of, that they have to wipe their ass, that they have to clean their dishes, that they have to like make sure that they take a shower. Like they want a man that has his shit in order and has his own responsibilities, and he has his own qualities, and he has the confidence to express those qualities that make her feel that he is, I guess, masculine. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm by far like I'm like a river or an ocean away from what like the typical masculine man is. But if you come up,
what's that mean?
Thank you, Clem. Thank you. Like
feminine man.
I would say that I try to keep a balance, even though like whatever my personality is or whatever my ingrained or my biological senses allow me to be more feminine, or I try to get more of a balance out there. You know what I'm saying? Like I took a personality test, and it says that I'm more feeling than thinking. So I would say for some reason, thinking is a masculine trait and feeling is a feminine trait, and it could be different to everybody. But in society, that's what seems to be the traits going around. That's how they're divided, exactly. So I'm more feeling, and that's I believe that's how I am born. I was born like that. Yeah, I don't think you have much choice in your personality, as people think. And so, but you have space. You have space to grow the things that you're not good at. Like I try to be more logical. I try to be more well read. I try to be more understanding of things that I do not understand, instead of like instantly reacting to them. So it's all about a balance to me. But I think I think one of the things that my partner admires the most is confidence. Like I don't think you need anything else to be a man except confidence. If if you're walking with your t-shirt backwards and you feel like that's the way to wear it, then people are gonna admire that. People are gonna respect that. Okay, so confidence. I don't know if that's a masculine thing, but I feel like
a man would be confident,
yeah.
intelligent, assertive.
But I think there's feminine confidence as well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean confidence. I guess yeah. I mean, obviously, like confidence, I think is something that women look for in men. You know, like as far as majority want of women wanting an assertive, masculine man. You know, to be assertive, you have to be confident. Absolutely, but as a man, you also want a woman who's confident in her own skin as well, in her own femininity. Um, but I guess I just stole the floor from Elmer to answer the question.
Just jacked him, just hijacked him, bro. That was a fight, bro.
No,
I
I
love
just
take it,
you
take
know
it and
what?
run.
I'm just trying to get him back for the last time we sparred. I think it was. No, but yeah, I mean, I mean, I think the answer to that question is fairly simple. Absolutely, I think there probably are a population of women who, honestly, I find it. I was gonna say that, but no, I don't like. I don't. I find it hard to believe that there's a population of women that don't want an assertive masculine man. I mean, I guess there is, like like with this, with the LGBT in like the LGBT.
Oh man, we're just gonna get my whole channel demonetized today, huh? Let's go, bro.
I mean, listen,
and it's always been X. You notice that, Clem? X is like working against you, bro. He's making his own podcast.
Nah, man. I mean, I'm just answering the question. I think that maybe some women or non-binary folks in that disposed or characterized you took it off by poor confident statements and behavior. Yeah. But just to finish what I was saying, I think that maybe certain people in that community would like a man who's maybe more feminine. But if you're talking about straight women and straight men, absolutely. I think women, I would say all straight women want an assertive masculine man.
Francesca, you've been wincing there a couple times.
Well, what Elmer was saying about like if you don't want to go out with a baby, like you gotta tell them to take a shower, all these silly little things. That's just being a loser. It has nothing to do with being masculine or feminine. Like you're just a fucking loser to me. If you don't know how to take care of yourself, I don't give a shit how your personality is. You're just a loser. But at the end of the day, for me personally, for a masculine man, I got a different type of type. So it's not like I'm looking for like someone who is just like a woman, I guess, feminine way, like metrosexual. I'm not really into like anything like that per se, but you'll never see me with a manly, assertive, masculine man. Never. I've always, like, when we're talking about Harry Styles, right? So you have to also consider like Mick Jagger, the 70s, the Rolling Stones.
Prince.
We got Zeppelin. We got all these rock stars who were very feminine looking, right? And they could have had obviously
David
their
Bowie.
manhood. They touched with it. Yeah, but they also had like a je ne sais quoi. What? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Guys,
so like
they're like androgynous in the way they present their style, but I think that their personalities are pretty masculine.
No, not British men. Absolutely not. So like for me, like
you seen their tight pants
from the UK. They're yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I was just like, if we want to go really old, like when Francesca was going in high school, finding herself, I was into seeing kids. Like I was into that emo thing. Guys had tight pants. They straightened their hair. They're very emotional.
Yeah,
so,
I was
that
mad
without My Chemical Romance, without the Killers, without the exactly. So with me, I would never see myself with like a brolic, very assertive man. That's just me. But if a guy has a mind of his own and that confidence and that je ne sais quoi, that humor, because I think women look for humor and personality more than if someone's masculine or feminine at the end of the day. But if we wanted to really categorize that. So that's how I see things. For me personally, my opinion, my type, that it's that masculine thing, too much macho for me.
I think
So then I would say, looking at it as if a guy is sure of himself and knows what he wants, him being assertive, confident, intelligent. I mean, those are all the things that I would say move more towards like a masculine man, someone who's comfortable in his own skin. So yes, those David Bowie, the Queen, all those guys, they were very comfortable in their own skin. Like no matter where they went, no matter what crowd they were in, they weren't going to change their personality for nobody. That's them. So I would say that's how I'm looking at it. But that's really the idea that I had when I brought up this question. So,
Madison, you wanted to say something?
I was gonna say, I think nowadays it's kind of hard to. I guess we're also divided by our perspective because, like we talked about earlier, we have an algorithm, we have a timeline, and we see what we see. So I see from my ethnicity, most women that I see on my timeline are glamorizing these macho men. And so that's what I'm like, okay, yeah, majority of women want assertive masculine man because that's what's on my algorithm. That's what's on my perspective in my apparatus. So it's kind of like divided in that sense to where we all kind of have a perspective. But I like what you said earlier, Elmer, about you being more of a feeler than a thinker, but you try to think things through and try to, determine when you use that side. And I think that's kind of important as well because it's like, yeah, you can be emotional, you can be in touch with your feminine side, but how and when do you use that? And that can be beneficial too and make you attractive to a woman as well. Being emotional and a feeler doesn't mean you're always crying and all over the place. Sometimes you just know how to use it, you know how to play your cards right. So it just all depends.
It was good. All right. So on the topic of men and women and how men have it much harder, because that's what we're talking about clearly. Yeah. I have one last video that I want to dissect real quick on the difficulties of men and going to the club.
Better not be Kevin Samuels. No, I'm just
Oh,
the great
Kevin Samuels,
the grandfather.
All right. So mute your mics, please. And
we actually bought some. You ain't bought them in our back pocket just in case. You know what I'm saying? Y'all also got ripped jeans on. Y'all can't get in with no ripped jeans. No ripped jeans. No ripped jeans. That's what I mean. Y'all got some in the car though. I'm gonna meet y'all in there. I'm gonna go in there. All right, I'm going in there real fast. You got hoop earrings. You can't get in with hoop earrings. Hoop earrings? Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm just take them off. What you mean? What you tripping for? I mean, you got a fade. You don't have a fade. You need a fade. I need a fade. That's that. I brought my barber with me just in case. Come on. Hey, go ahead and line me up. I got my barber with me, so we should be good. I said no matter. You have a jacket on. A jacket? Oh, I'll take that jacket off. Here. Hold that for me. What about you? Can't get no phones. Can't get no phones. No phones here. Ain't got no phone. That's a $20 cover charge. $20 cover. Oh, I got money. You should have told me I got money. You black, bro. You black. You can't get in. You black. You're not getting in here. So that's what it was the whole time. Yes. That's what I'm saying. What you giving me the runaround for then? That's what I'm saying. Talking about Jordans and jackets and I bought some extra dress shoes and everything. That's what I'm saying. You say he doing all that, he giving me the runaround for no reason. Ain't you half black? That don't even make sense. How you right? That don't make no sense. That's what I'm saying. Give me runaround, all that extra shit for no reason. Just tell me I'm black from the jump. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, bro. That shit don't make no sense. I swear to God.
the struggles of a man trying to get into the club,
it'd be like
the hard life.
You always get in easier when you bring women with you to the club.
Always.
I thought they were going to show the women's side of how easy it was.
No. Oh, that's like a 2-second video. Oh, your woman? Just You're right this way.
Yeah.
Go to VIP.
come on
You
in.
good?
Right.
But we're at the 2-hour mark, guys. I really appreciate all of you guys coming on. All of you guys coming here and having these different discussions. I appreciate your cat, nanny named Fran.
The cat's mooning us.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
About that. I'm sorry. Her name's Yum Yum. So.
Aw.
Yum,
Yum yum, give me some.
Oh, you're into animals, huh?
Guys, do you have any other questions? Any other questions for anyone on the panel, for me, for anyone in the crowd? I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Any last final thoughts?
Well, I mean, I appreciate you inviting me, and it's always fun. It's the first time meeting Francesca. It's a pleasure. Elmer, it's always a pleasure seeing you. Maddie, second time, it's a pleasure. Clem, it's always a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully I'll be back on soon.
Yeah, definitely, man. Also, that beginning beat for anyone in the crowd and you guys on here as well listening, that was made by Xavier. Actually, he made all those beats and everything. So, if you ever need any kind of beats, hit him up.
I haven't made music in a while. You're inspiring me. I have to make more music so you
Listen,
can have
man,
more stuff on there.
I'm gonna put a lot more of your stuff up. Don't worry, I got you, bro.
I'm gonna send you instrumentals though. Don't put any of the stuff with my voice in it.
Nah. We're gonna broadcast everything. You got to become a better singer. Okay, I got you.
You can put the rap stuff.
Anyone else? Any last comments?
It was nice meeting you, Francesca, Elmer. Nice being here
I
again.
just want to say thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow.
You got interrupted by a girl.
Interrupt my girl like that.
There's always women against women. It's never
always.
It's always women attacking women.
Xavier, you already got fans, bro. You already got fans.
Yo, E Black, man.
Why wasn't E Black on the thing? That's what I want to know.
I know, right? Why wasn't E Black here? I mean, that's probably my fault. I didn't invite him, but hey, you gotta save him for good days, okay? You're right. He's a trump card. But on that note, guys, I really appreciate. Was someone saying something? I felt like, oh right, you guys were having a little girl fight.
Yeah, they were like,
the girl fight. All right, go back to the fight.
Let me just say, Clem, all men are trash. All women are queens.
Okay.
Said
the man that flows like the ocean or whatever he said, right? Like what was it? Yeah.
Simp.
Strong as a coursing river or something like that. Strength of a great typhoon. Guys, it's been fun. Until next time. Enjoy.
MJ on the beat, ho.
They know they shouldn't have let me start speaking my mind in the booth. Start speaking the truth. Might get shot for it, but MLK did too.
Look to the sky, ask God why innocent lives have to die. One thing I know, a flower will grow once you plant the seed inside your soul.
Now we could paint the perfect picture without belittling each other. Cause under God's system we really one another's brother. And the system set up just to make one another struggle. Work it out like we gaining muscle. I done seen Flint, Michigan in the inner cities. They pissing in project buildings that got a roof that leaks, resulting in missing ceilings. Hard to sleep. Children going to schools dealing issues deep. Teacher got the nerve to ask what's the feeling. He got up and started lashing out. See, it's a start. Physical display and mental destruction. Yeah, now that's the art. Politicians, government instructing you to do your part. It ain't hard to see they trying to keep black in the back, just like Rosa Parks. Cops shooting blacks as if they get a token from God. School rob you with needed resources, but you finance like cars. Too many of us worrying about what we be spending at bars, while queens are done playing themselves through the subconscious mirage. And here I was a young boy just praying to get a menage with two of the baddest Nickies, hoping they shift my stick like some cars. And when you're lonely in your darkest thoughts come, I know it's hard, but God shines his light on all that play their part, and it's the start.
Look to the sky, ask God why innocent lives have to die. One thing I know, a flower will grow once you plant the seed inside your soul.
he shows it. Here to speak the message of what is known, but not what it takes, expose it. Listen closer as I take you on a mental path. See divisions, the math, hoping we clash on lower levels just like in the past. Before we begin to see spared lives, keep in mind the first 3 letters of unity starts with you and I. And maybe then we can all thrive, changing the narratives of our lives, finding belief from inside. We gotta come together, different feathers, and we fly together despite any weather, evolving up forward just like propellers, using negatives to fuel positives. How we change the mark, just like taking the devil's flames just to warm the coldest heart. Mama knew it from the start, DC mode would be a spark to lead the light that works its way out, illuminate through the dark. Funny cause my skin is dark despite the stereotypes exemplify brilliance, cause I found that genius within my mind. You see words create worlds when you use the term tear. Your mind takes what it sees and mimics that just like a mirror. So if we change the way we speak, conscious the energy we give, we'll have a world full of positive word of jigger. Can I live?
Look to the sky, ask God why. Innocent lives have to die. One thing I know, a flower will grow once you plant the seed inside your soul.